The red sun of Kepler 442b was setting behind the mountains when Captain Jake Morrison heard the alarms. He dropped his coffee cup and ran toward the main defense station. The hot liquid splashed on his worn boots, but he did not care. Alarms meant danger, and danger meant people might die. "What do we have?" Jake asked as he reached the control room. His second-in-command, Rick Stone, was already studying the scanner screens. Rick's face looked worried. "3 big creatures moving toward Sector 7, Rick said. "They look like the rock beasts that attacked last month. Maybe bigger." Jake cursed under his breath. The rock beasts were bad news. They stood 12 feet tall and had skin like armor. Their claws could tear through metal walls. Last time, they killed 8 people before the defense teams stopped them. "How many people are in Sector 7? Jake asked. "About 200 families, Rick replied. "Most of the children are there too." Jake grabbed his radio. "All defense teams to Sector 7. Bring the big guns. We have rock beasts coming in fast." Outside the control room, people were already moving. Men and women picked up weapons and ran toward the outer walls. Some looked scared, but they all went anyway. On this world, everyone had to fight, or everyone would die. Dr. Linda Carter was in her small office when she heard the alarms. She was reading old books about Earth. The books told stories of blue skies and green grass. They talked about oceans. That went on forever, and cities with millions of people. Sometimes Linda wondered if these stories were real or just dreams. Linda put down her book and picked up her medical bag. When the fighting started, people would get hurt. She would need to help them. She had been a doctor on this world for 20 years. She had seen too much blood and too much pain. As she walked to the medical station, Linda thought about her grandmother. The old woman used to tell stories about Earth before the wars. She talked about a time when humans lived on a beautiful world and traveled to the stars. Then the other alien races got scared of humans. They said humans were too violent, too dangerous. So they forced all humans to leave their homes and come to this terrible place. 73 years, Linda said to herself. 73 years since we saw our real home. Elena Martinez was working in the underground workshop when the alarm started. She was only 25 years old, but she was the best engineer in the colony. Her hands were covered in oil and metal dust. She had been building something secret, something that might change everything. Elena looked at her project. It was a new type of power generator. It was much better than the old ones the colony used. With this generator, they could power bigger weapons, stronger shields, maybe even build ships that could fly to other worlds. But Elena knew the alien watchers would not like this. They had rules. Humans were not allowed to build good technology. Humans were not allowed to leave this world. Humans were supposed to stay here forever and slowly die. "Not if I can help it," Elena whispered. She covered her work with old cloth and picked up a weapon. Even engineers had to fight when the beasts came. The battle started an hour later. The rock beasts came from the east, moving fast across the rocky ground. Their red eyes glowed in the darkness. Their claws sparked when they hit the rocks. Jake and his team waited behind the metal walls of Sector 7. They had 20 good fighters and some heavy weapons. It would have to be enough. "Wait until they get close," Jake told his people. "Make every shot count. We do not have many bullets." The first beast hit the wall like a truck. The metal bent but did not break. Jake raised his hand and dropped it. "Fire!" The weapons lit up the night. Bullets and energy beams hit the beasts. From all sides, one creature fell, then another. But more kept coming. There were at least 6 of them now. Rick Stone was on the left side with 5 fighters. A big beast was climbing over the wall near them. Rick aimed his rifle at the creature's head and fired 3 times. The beast roared and fell backward, but it was not dead. It got up and charged at the wall again. "Elena, we need more power too." "The weapons." Rick shouted into his radio dot in the power station. Elena was working fast. She connected her secret generator to the main power system. The old generators were not strong enough for a long fight, but her new one was different. It could give them the power they needed. Power coming online now. Elena said into her radio. The weapons got brighter and stronger. The next shots from Rick's team tore through the beast's armor. It fell and did not get up again, but Jake could see more red eyes in the darkness. More beasts were coming. Many. More. "This is going to be a long night," he said to himself. Dr. Linda Carter was already treating wounded fighters in her medical station. A young man had deep cuts on his arm from beast claws. A woman had burns from an energy weapon that overheated. Linda worked quickly with her limited supplies. "Doctor," the young man said as she bandaged his arm, "my grandfather used to tell stories about Earth. He said humans there had weapons that could destroy mountains. Is that true?" Linda paused in her work. "Maybe," she said. "But those humans also had medicine that could heal any wound in minutes. They had food that never ran out and houses that fixed themselves." She tied the bandage tight. "We are not those humans anymore. We are what is left." The battle continued through the night. The humans fought hard and smart. They used traps and tricks that the beasts did not expect. When morning came, all the rock beasts were dead. But 5 more humans had died, and many others were hurt. Jake stood on the wall and looked out at the dead creatures. His people had won again, but just barely. The weapons were almost out of power. The medical supplies were running low. The food would not last much longer. "How long can we keep doing this?" Rick asked. Jake did not answer. He knew the truth. They could not keep doing this forever. Sooner or later, something would come that they could not fight. Something that would end the last free humans in the galaxy. But for now, they were alive. For now, they were still fighting. And maybe, somehow, that would be enough. 3 weeks after the rock beast attack, the sky above New Haven Colony changed color. What had been empty and blue was now filled with silver shapes. Ships. Big ones. Elena Martinez was the first to see them. She was on the roof of the power station, checking the solar panels, when the shadows fell across her face. She looked up and felt her heart stop. The ships were huge and beautiful, like crystal towers floating in the air. "Zelani," she whispered. She had seen pictures in the old books. The Zelani were one of the alien races that kept humans trapped on this world. They came every few years to make sure humans were not building anything they should not build. Elena climbed down the ladder as fast as she could. She had to hide her secret generator before the aliens found it. If they discovered what she had built, they would destroy it. They might destroy the whole colony dot in the main command center. Jake Morrison was already talking to his officers. The big screen showed the alien ships getting closer. There were 6 of them, each one bigger than the entire human colony. "How long before they land?" Jake asked. Rick Stone checked his instruments. "Maybe an hour. They are scanning everything as they come down, looking for something." Dr. Linda Carter entered the room. She carried an old book in her hands. "I found the records from their last visit," she said. 5 years ago. They destroyed our communication tower because it was too powerful. They said we were trying to talk to other worlds." "Were we?" Jake asked. "No," Linda said. "We were just trying to talk to the mining station on the other side of the planet." Jake felt angry, but he pushed the feeling down. Getting angry at the Zelani was like getting angry at the weather. It did not change anything, and it might get you killed. Zelani ships landed in the empty field north of the colony. The ships were even more beautiful up close. They looked like they were made of white crystal and silver metal. No dirt stuck to them. No scratches marked their surfaces. They were perfect in a way that human things never were. Admiral Kethvar stepped out of the largest ship. He was 10 feet tall and thin like a tree branch. His skin was clear like glass, and light moved through it in slow patterns. Behind him came 20 other Zilani soldiers. They all carried weapons that hummed. With energy, Jake and Linda walked out to meet them. They had done this before. The humans would bow and say the right words. The Zilani would look around and take whatever they wanted. Then they would leave, and life would go on. But this time felt different. Admiral Kethvar's light patterns were faster and brighter than usual. That meant he was angry or excited about something. Humans, the Admiral said. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. We have detected illegal technology in your settlement. You will show us everything you have built since our last visit. Jake kept his face calm. Of course, Admiral. We follow all the rules. We build only what we need to survive. Survival? Kethvar repeated. The lights in his body pulsed red. Your species always uses that word. You used it when you attacked the Helix Nebula colonies. You used it when you destroyed the vegan trade routes. Survival is what you call it when you bring death to others. Behind the Admiral, a younger Zilani officer shifted uncomfortably. Her name was Sub-Commander Thelanara, though the humans did not know this yet. She had read the old reports about the human wars. Some things in those reports did not make sense to her. Some things seemed wrong. The inspection began. The Zilani walked through every building in the colony. They scanned every machine and every weapon. Their instruments could see through walls and detect the smallest bits of advanced technology. Elena watched from her workshop as the aliens got closer. Her secret generator was hidden under the floor, covered by old metal plates and fake wiring. She had built false walls and dummy machines to fool their scanners. But she did not know if it would work. 2 Zilani soldiers entered her workshop. They pointed their scanners at everything. The instruments beeped and flashed as they found the colony's normal equipment: welding tools, metal cutters, basic computers. One soldier knelt near the floor where Elena's generator was hidden. His scanner beeped 3 times, then went quiet. Elena held her breath. The soldier stood up and moved to the next room. He had not found anything. Elena almost smiled. Almost. But then Admiral Kethvar himself entered the workshop. His personal scanner was much better than what the soldiers carried. It was military grade. It could see everything. The Admiral moved slowly through the room. His scanner hummed quietly as it looked for secrets. When he reached the center of the workshop, the humming got louder. Interesting, Kethvar said. He knelt and pressed his hand against the floor. Sub-Commander Thelanara, come here. The younger Zilani officer entered the room. Yes, Admiral? What do you see here? Thelanara used her own scanner. Normal workshop. Equipment, some metalworking tools, basic power systems. Look deeper, the Admiral said. Thelanara adjusted her scanner settings. Now she could see through the floor. Her eyes went wide. There is something hidden beneath us, a power generator. But the design ... it is not like anything in our records. Admiral Kethvar smiled. It was not a nice smile. The humans have been creative. This generator is 3 times more powerful than anything they should be able to build. With this, they could power weapons, ships, communications equipment. He stood up and touched his communication device. Destroy the northern section of the colony. Make it clear what happens when humans break the rules. Sir, Thelanara said quietly. Is that necessary? It is just one generator. And there are families in that section. The Admiral's lights flashed bright red. Do not question me, Sub-Commander. These creatures are dangerous. If we do not stop them now, they will build more forbidden technology. They will try to escape this world. They will bring war to the galaxy again. Outside, Jake Morrison heard the Admiral's orders through his communication device. He had hidden listening equipment near the Zalani ships. Now he knew what was coming. All defense teams, emergency positions. Jake shouted into his radio. They are going to attack the northern section. Get everyone out of there now. But it was too late. Energy beams from the Zalani ships lit up the sky. Buildings exploded in bright flashes. The ground shook like an ant. Earthquake. Elena ran from her workshop as the roof collapsed behind her. Her secret generator was buried under tons of metal and rock. All her work was gone. But Elena was not thinking about her generator anymore. She was thinking about the families in the northern section. She was thinking about the children who lived there. Jake Morrison was thinking the same thing. He looked at the burning buildings and made a decision that would change everything. Get the rocket launchers, he told Rick Stone. All of them. Jake, you cannot be serious, Rick said. Those are Zalani ships. They have shields, armor. Our weapons cannot hurt them. Maybe not, Jake said, but we have to try. We cannot let them murder our people and do nothing. The human counterattack began 10 minutes later. Rockets flew through the air toward the Zalani ships. Most of them exploded harmlessly against the alien shields. But Jake's people were clever. They fired many rockets at the same spot on each ship. The shields could not take that much damage all at once. 2 Zalani ships exploded in balls of fire. The other 4 lifted off quickly, trying to get away from the human weapons. Admiral Kethfer could not believe what he was seeing. These primitive humans had destroyed 2 of his ships. His perfect advanced ships had been beaten by crude human rockets. Impossible, he said to himself. Sub-Commander Thelinar was thinking too. The humans had not attacked until the Zalani attacked first. The humans had defended their families. Was that really so wrong? The remaining Zalani ships escaped into space. But before they left, Admiral Kethvar sent one final message to the human colony. You have made a terrible mistake. His voice echoed from speakers in the colony. I will return with a full battle fleet. Next time, we will not just destroy one section of your settlement. We will destroy everything. Every human on this world will die. The transmission ended. The sky was empty again. Jake Morrison stood in the ruins of the northern section. 37 people had died in the attack. 37 people who had been alive an hour ago. Elena Martinez found him there. Her clothes were torn and dirty from the explosion. Captain, she said, I am sorry about my generator. If I had not built it, none of this would have happened. Jake looked at her for a long moment. Elena, he said finally, how long would it take you to build another one? Elena was confused. I do not understand. The Admiral is coming back with more ships, Jake said. When he does, we need to be ready. We need better weapons, better shields, better everything. He turned to face her. How long to build a generator that could power a real defense system? Elena thought about it. With help, maybe 3 months. Then we better get started, Jake said. In Space Admiral. Kethfer was already planning his return. He would bring 50 ships next time. Maybe 100. He would make sure no human on that world survived to build Forbiddens technology again. But Sub-Commander Thelanara was thinking about what she had seen. She was thinking about the human families running from the explosions. She was thinking about the old records that did not quite make sense. For the first time in her life, she wondered if the Galactic Council might be wrong about the humans. On the surface of Keppel, far away in the cold darkness of space, something old was waking up. The Hughes Valiant had been sleeping for 73 years. It was a giant ship, 3 miles long and built for war. Inside its metal halls, 5,000 people slept in cold tubes, waiting for a signal that might never come. The ship's computer had been watching and listening all this time. It heard radio signals from across the galaxy. It recorded news and stories and conversations. Most of what it heard was boring. Trade reports, weather updates, alien families talking to each other. But 3 days ago, the computer heard something different. It was a human voice, speaking the old Earth military codes. The voice was asking for help. That deep in the ship's command center, lights began to flash. Machines that had been quiet for decades started to hum with power. The awakening process had begun. Admiral Ben Cooper was the first to wake up. The cold tube opened with a hiss of steam. Ben sat up slowly, his old body stiff and sore. His hair was white now, though it had been brown when he went to sleep. The long cold had aged him, but it had also kept him alive. Ben looked around the medical bay. Hundreds of other tubes lined the walls. Inside each one was a member of his crew, soldiers and scientists and engineers who had volunteered to sleep in space while their people suffered on distant worlds. A young woman in a medical uniform ran over to help him. "Admiral Cooper, how do you feel, sir?" Ben's throat was dry. It took him a moment to remember how to speak. "Like I have been asleep for 70 years, he said. His voice was rough. "What is the situation, Doctor?" "Dr. Karen White, sir. The computer woke you because it detected a Priority 1 signal. Human colony under attack. Requesting immediate assistance." Ben's mind cleared quickly. Priority 1 meant humans were about to die. He had programmed the computer himself years ago. It would only wake the crew if other humans were in serious danger. "How many colonies are left?" Ben asked as Dr. White helped him stand. "We are not sure, sir. The computer has been listening to alien communications. Most sources say all human colonies were destroyed decades ago. But this signal came from Kepler 442b. That was the main Exile world." Ben felt his heart sink. When he had gone to sleep, there were human colonies on 40 different worlds. Now there might be only one left. His people had failed. They had hidden in space while their race died. "Wake the senior staff first," Ben ordered. "Then start waking everyone else." "How long until the whole crew is awake?" 48 hours, sir. Maybe less if we push the system." "Push it," Ben said. Colonel Lisa Parker woke up angry. She always woke up angry, even from normal sleep. Coming out of cold sleep made it worse. She had been a Marine for 30 years before the Exile. Fighting was what she knew best. "Where are we?" Lisa asked Dr. White. "What year is it?" 2460. "Colonel, we have been in cold sleep for 73 years. Lisa cursed loudly. 73 years. Most of the people she had known on Earth were probably dead now. The Marines she had trained were definitely dead. Everything she had fought for was gone. "The Admiral wants to see you in the command center," Dr. White said. Lisa found Admiral Cooper standing in front of the main screen. The screen showed a star map with one blinking red dot. That dot was Kepler 442b, where the signal had come from. "What do we know?" Lisa asked. "Not much," Ben replied. "The signal was sent 3 days. Go. Standard distress call. Colony under attack by unknown forces. After that, nothing." Chief Engineer Danny Walsh joined him a few minutes later. Danny was 60 years old when he went to sleep. Now he looked like he was 90. The cold sleep had been hard on him, but his mind was still sharp. "Admiral," Danny said, "I have been checking the ship's systems. We have some problems." "How bad?" Ben asked. 73 years bad, Danny said. "The main engines work, but they are not at full power. Half our weapon systems need repair. The shields are working, but barely. And we are almost out of food. And medical supplies. How long to reach Kepler 442b? Ben asked. At current engine power, 6 days. Ben thought about this. 6 days was a long time. If the colony was under attack, 6 days might be too late. Lieutenant Amy Foster was the last senior officer to wake up. She was only 25 when she went to sleep, which made her 37 now. Still young, but she felt much older. Amy's job was communications. She could speak 12 alien languages and understand the technical codes used by most galactic civilizations. If anyone could figure out what was happening on Kepler 442b, it was her. I have been listening to alien communications, Amy reported to the Admiral. The Zelani Empire has been very active in that star system. Military ships, patrol fleets, even some diplomatic vessels. What are they doing there? Ben asked. Unknown, sir. But 3 days ago, a Zelani admiral sent a message to the Galactic Council. He requested permission to use extreme measures to deal with a human problem on Kepler 442b. Colonel Parker stepped forward. What kind of extreme measures? Amy looked uncomfortable. Orbital bombardment, sir. Complete sterilization of the planet's surface. The command center went quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. If the Zelani got permission to bombard the planet, every human on Kepler 442b would die. The last free humans in the galaxy would be gone forever. How long before they get permission? Ben asked. The council meets once every 10 days, Amy said. The next meeting is in 4 days. Ben looked at the star map again. 4 days for the council to meet. 6 days for the Valiant to reach the planet. The math was simple and terrible. Chief Walsh. Ben said, I need more speed from the engines. Sir, if I push them any harder, they might explode. If we do not push them, those colonists will definitely die. Give me 5 days, Chief. Give me 5 days, or we will be the last humans alive. Danny Walsh nodded grimly. I will see what I can do. The next day, the entire crew was awake. 5,000 people who had slept through the fall of their civilization. They walked through the ship's halls like ghosts, trying to understand what had happened to their world. Not many of them went to the ship's library. There, the computer had stored 73 years of alien news reports. The humans read about their own history from the perspective of their enemies. The reports said that humanity had been violent and aggressive. They said humans had attacked peaceful alien worlds and started wars for no reason. They said the Exile had been necessary to protect galactic peace. But some of the reports contradicted each other. Some had facts that did not make sense. Colonel Parker, who knew military history, found many errors in the descriptions of human battles. Admiral, Lisa said during a staff meeting, I think we were lied to. These alien reports about our wars, they are not accurate. They make us sound like monsters. What do you mean? Ben asked. Take the Battle of Vega Prime. According to the aliens, we attacked without warning and killed millions of civilians. But I was at Vega Prime. We were defending human colonies from alien pirates. We saved lives. We did not destroy them. Amy Foster had been studying the alien communications. Colonel Parker is right, sir. The more I read, the more I think the other races were afraid of us. Not because we were evil, but because we were good at fighting. They exiled us because they were scared. Dr. Linda Carter's message finally reached them on the 4th day. The Valiant's communication system picked up a weak signal from Kepler 442b. It was badly damaged and hard to understand, but Amy Foster worked for hours to clean it up. When she played the message for the senior staff, everyone listened carefully. This is Dr. Linda Carter of New Haven Colony on Kepler 442b, the voice said. If anyone receives this message, Please know that we tried. The Zelani fleet will return in 6 days with orders to destroy our world. We have maybe 50,000 people left. We are the last free humans in the galaxy. The message continued, with technical details about the colony's location and defenses. But it ended with something that made everyone in the command center feel cold. We know you are out there somewhere, Dr. Carter's voice said. Admiral Cooper, if the Valiant still exists, if any Earthships still fly, please remember us. Remember that we fought to the end. Remember that we never gave up. The transmission ended. The command center was silent for a long time. She knows we are out here, Ben said quietly. Somehow she knows about us. What are your orders, sir? Colonel Parker asked. Ben looked around at his officers. They were good people. They had given up everything to protect their species. Now they had one last chance to do their job. Chief. Walsh, how are the engines? Running at 110%, sir. We will reach Kepler 442b in 5 days. Colonel Parker, what is our combat readiness? 60%, sir. Half our weapons are working. The Marines are ready for anything. Lieutenant Foster, any word from the Galactic Council? Yes, sir. They approved the Zelani request 2 hours ago. The bombardment is authorized to begin as soon as the fleet arrives. Ben nodded. Then we know what we have to do. We are going to Kepler 442b. We are going to fight the Zelani fleet. And we are going to save those colonists. Sir, Danny Walsh said carefully, we are one ship. The Zelani will have dozens, maybe hundreds. The odds are not good, Chief, Ben replied. When in the history of the human race have the odds ever been good? We fight because that is what humans do. We fight because those people down there are counting on us. We fight because if we do not, our species dies. The Zelani fleet arrived at Kepler 442b like a storm of silver death. 200 ships filled the space around the planet. They were beautiful and terrible, their crystal hulls catching the light of the red sun. Admiral Kethfer commanded from the largest vessel, a massive dreadnought that could destroy cities with a single shot. On the planet below, Jake Morrison watched the alien ships through his telescope. His people had worked for weeks to build new defenses, but they all knew it would not be enough. Elena Martinez had managed to build 3 new generators, but they could only power basic shields. The colony's weapons could barely scratch a single. Zelani ship, let alone 200. How long do we have? Rick Stone asked. Jake checked the scanner readings. They are charging their main weapons now. Maybe 10 minutes before they start firing. In the colony's medical center, Dr. Linda Carter was helping families move to the underground shelters. Children cried as their parents carried them down into the dark tunnels. Everyone knew the tunnels would not save them. The Zelani weapons could burn through miles of rock. Dr. Carter, a young boy asked as she helped him down the stairs. Are the ships from Earth coming to help us? Linda knelt down to look at the boy. She had sent her message to space weeks ago, hoping someone would hear it, but no ships had come. No signals had answered her call. I do not know, she told the boy honestly, but we are going to be brave no matter what happens. High above the planet, Admiral Kethfer was giving final orders to his fleet. The Galactic Council had given him permission to destroy every human on the world below. He intended to do exactly that. Begin bombardment in sequence, he commanded. Start with the main colony, then move to the smaller settlements. I want nothing left alive on that planet. Sub-Commander Thelanara stood behind the Admiral, watching the tactical displays. She had not spoken against his orders, but she felt sick inside. They were about to kill 50,000 people. Men, women, children who had done nothing wrong except be born human. The first Zelani ships moved into bombing position. Their weapons began to glow with deadly energy. In 30 seconds, the bombardment would begin. That was when the stars exploded. The U's Valiant came out of hyperspace like an angry god. The massive battleship was 3 miles of armored death, bristling with weapons that had not been fired. In 73 years, its hull was scarred and dirty, its paint faded and scratched. But it was still the most dangerous ship ever built by human hands. Admiral Ben Cooper stood on the bridge, looking at the Zalani fleet through the main view screen. 200 enemy ships surrounded his single vessel. The odds were worse than anything he had ever faced. All weapons, target the command ship, Ben ordered. Colonel Parker, are your Marines ready? Ready and waiting, sir, Lisa Parker replied from the Marine deck. Give us something to kill. Lieutenant Foster, open a channel to the Zalani fleet. Amy Foster worked her controls. Channel open, sir. Ben stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice carried across space to every Zalani ship in the fleet. This is Admiral Ben Cooper of the United Earthship Valiant. You are ordered to withdraw from this system immediately. Any hostile action against the human colony will be met with extreme force. On the Zalani command ship, Admiral Kethvar laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass. One ship, he said to his officers. One ancient human ship against my entire fleet. They have gone insane. But Sub-Commander Thelanara was studying the readings from the human vessel. What she saw made her afraid. Admiral, she said quietly, that ship ... it is carrying nuclear weapons. Hundreds of them. Kethvar stopped laughing. Nuclear weapons were primitive, but they were also incredibly dangerous. The Zalani had designed their shields to stop modern energy weapons, not crude atomic bombs. It does not matter, Kethvar said. One ship cannot defeat 200. Destroy it. The battle began with the Zalani fleet firing everything they had at the Valiant. Energy beams and particle weapons lit up space like a deadly light show. The human ship's shields flared and sparked under the massive attack. But the Valiant did not die. Its shields were old but strong. Its armor was thick and tough. The ship had been built to fight entire fleets by itself. Return fire, Admiral Cooper commanded. The Valiant's weapons spoke with voices of thunder. Massive rail guns hurled shells the size of cars at the Zalani ships. Missile tubes launched nuclear warheads that burned brighter than stars when they exploded. The first volley destroyed 12 Zalani vessels. The ships simply vanished in balls of atomic fire. Their beautiful crystal hulls could not protect them from the raw power of human nuclear weapons. Admiral Kethvar watched his ships die and felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Real, cold fear. How is this possible? He demanded. They are using primitive weapons. Sometimes primitive weapons work better, Sub-Commander Thelanara said quietly. On the Valiant, Chief Engineer Danny Walsh was working miracles in the engine room. The old ship was taking massive damage, but Danny kept her running through pure skill and determination. Engines at 120%. Danny shouted over the noise of explosions. Shields down to 40%. We cannot take much more of this. Just keep us alive a little longer, Chief. Admiral Cooper replied. Colonel Lisa Parker was leading her Marines through the ship's corridors, heading for the assault pods. Valiant could not win by trading shots with 200 enemy ships. They needed to get close and personal. Listen up, Marines, Lisa shouted as they ran. We are about to board enemy ships and kill everything we find. No mercy, no prisoners. These aliens want to murder human children, so we are going to show them what happens when you threaten our people. The Marines cheered and checked their weapons. They had been asleep for 73 years, dreaming of this moment. Now they would finally get their revenge. Lieutenant Amy Foster was in the communication center. coordinating the battle from her station. She watched the tactical display as more Zelani ships moved to surround the Valiant. "Admiral," she reported, "enemy ships are trying to box us in. We need to move, or they will overwhelm us." "Chief Walsh, give me everything the engines have got," Ben ordered. "Sir, if I push any harder, the engines will explode. If you do not push harder, we all die anyway." The Valiant suddenly accelerated straight toward the center of the Zelani fleet. The human ship moved faster than the aliens expected. There, careful formation broke apart as they tried to avoid collision. That was when Colonel Parker launched her attack. 50 assault pods shot out from the Valiant like bullets from a gun. Each pod carried 20 Marines armed with weapons designed to kill aliens in close combat. The pods slammed into the hulls of Zelani ships and burned through their armor. Marines poured out, shooting everything that moved. The aliens had never faced humans in close combat before. They learned quickly why other species feared the human race. Marine Sergeant Tony Davis led his squad through the corridors of a Zelani cruiser. The aliens tried to stop them with energy weapons, but the Marines had armor that could absorb the shots. When the aliens ran out of ammunition, the Marines switched to knives in bare hands. "Clear this deck," Sergeant Davis shouted. "Then blow the reactor. Move, move." All across the battlefield, the same scene played out. Human Marines tore through Zelani ships like wolves through sheep. The aliens were advanced and civilized. The humans were primitive and violent. In a fair fight, the aliens would win. But this was not a fair fight. This was war. Admiral Kethvar watched his fleet fall apart around him. Half his ships were destroyed or crippled. The rest were scattered and confused. The single human battleship was still fighting, still killing his people. "We must retreat," Sub-Commander Thelanara said. "We cannot win this battle." "No," Kethvar screamed. "I will not be defeated by primitive humans. All ships, ramming speed, destroy that battleship." But it was too late. Admiral Cooper had one final surprise for the Zelani fleet. "Chief Walsh," Ben said calmly, "overload the main reactor." "Sir?" Danny was confused. "If I do that, the ship will explode." "I know, Chief. Do it anyway." Danny understood. The Admiral was going to ram the Zelani command ship and take as many enemies with him as possible. It was a suicide attack, but it would save the colony below. "It has been an honor serving with you, Admiral," Danny said. "The honor was mine." "Chief," the Valiant turned toward Admiral Kethvar's dreadnought and accelerated to ramming speed. The Zelani ship tried to move away, but it was too big and slow. The human battleship struck it right in the center dot. Both ships exploded in a flash of light that could be seen from the planet's surface. When the explosion faded, nothing was left but drifting debris and the memory of brave people who had died to save their species. The surviving Zelani ships fled the system as fast as they could go. They had come with 200 vessels to destroy, a helpless human colony. They left with less than 50 ships and the knowledge that humanity was far from helpless. On Kepler 442b, Jake Morrison stood on the colony walls and watched the alien ships disappear into space. Around him, his people cheered and cried and hugged each other. They had survived. Against all odds, they were still alive. Elena Martinez was already planning. With the Zelani gone, she could build better generators, stronger weapons, maybe even ships that could travel to other worlds. The quarantine was broken. Humanity was free. 6 months after the battle, everything had changed. The news of the Zelani fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. 200 advanced warships defeated by a single human battleship. It was impossible. It was terrifying. It made every alien species remember why they had been afraid of humans in the first place. On Kepler 442b, The colony of New Haven had grown into something much bigger. Ships arrived every week carrying humans from hidden colonies across the Chew Galaxy. Places that everyone thought had been destroyed decades ago were sending messages. Secret communities that had survived in asteroid fields and dead worlds were finally coming out of hiding. Elena Martinez stood in her new workshop, which was now 10 times bigger than her old one. Around her, hundreds of engineers worked on projects that would have been impossible just a year ago. Starships, weapons, shields, communication systems that could reach across the galaxy. How many colonies have made contact so far? Elena asked. Her assistant, a young man named Paul Green, who had arrived on a refugee ship from the Outer Rim. 47 confirmed, Paul replied. Maybe 20 more that we are still trying to verify. Total population estimate is around 2 million humans. Elena smiled. 2 million. When Dr. Carter had sent her message into space, they thought the 50,000 people on Kepler 442b were the last humans alive. Now they knew better. Humanity had survived by hiding, by being quiet, by pretending to be dead. But they were very much alive. Jake Morrison was no longer just the captain of a small colony defense force. He was now General Morrison, commanding officer of the new human defense fleet. The fleet consisted of 12 ships built from salvaged Solani technology and human ingenuity. They were not pretty ships, but they were fast and deadly. General, his aide said as Jake studied reports in his new command center. We have a message from the Arcturus colony. They want to know if they should start building warships. Jake thought about this. Arcturus was a small colony with maybe 5,000 people. Before the battle, he would have told them to stay hidden and quiet. Now things were different. Tell them, yes, Jake said. Tell them to build as many as they can. Tell all the colonies to start building ships. The aide looked surprised. Sir, that many ships. The aliens will think we are preparing for war. We are preparing for war, Jake said calmly. The question is whether we will be ready when it comes. Dr. Linda Carter had a new job too. She was now the director of human historical research. Her mission was to find out what had really happened during the Terra Wars that led to humanity's exile. What she was discovering made her angry. The official alien records said that humans had attacked peaceful worlds without reason. They painted humanity as a violent species that could not be trusted. But Linda had found other records, hidden files that told a different story. Look at this, Linda said to her research team. She pointed to a document on her computer screen. This is a vegan trade report from 2385. It talks about human colonies being attacked by unknown raiders. But in the official history, there is no mention of these attacks. Her assistant, Dr. Mark Lee, leaned over to read the document. So, humans were defending themselves? That is what it looks like, Linda said. The more I research, the more I think the Terra Wars were not wars of human aggression. They were wars of human survival. Other species were attacking our colonies, and we fought back. But somehow, we became the villains in the history books. President Helen Brooks was the elected leader of all the human colonies. She was 60 years old and had been a teacher before the battle. Now she had to make decisions that would affect the future of the human race. The Galactic Council wants to meet with us, she told her advisors during their weekly meeting. They are offering to discuss terms for readmission to Galactic Society. General Pete Collins, who had been a colonel on one of the hidden colonies, shook his head. It is a trap. They want to get us all in one place so they can finish what they started. Maybe, President Brooks said, but we cannot hide forever. We need to know what they want. Elena Martinez was also at the meeting. She had been asked to give a report on humanity's military capabilities. We now have 43 armed ships, Elena said. Not enough to fight the entire galaxy, but enough to make any attack on us very expensive. More importantly, we have something the aliens do not expect. What is that? President Brooks asked. Unity, Elena said. For 73 years, we have been scattered and alone. Now we are working together again. Sharing technology, sharing resources, sharing knowledge. We are stronger than we have ever been. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent message from the communications center. Lieutenant Amy Foster, who had survived the battle aboard the Valiant, was now head of human communications. President Brooks. Amy said over the intercom, "We are receiving a signal from Galactic Council Space. It is Sub-Commander Thelanara of the Zelani. She says she has important information for us." Everyone in the room looked surprised. Thelanara was the Zelani officer who had survived the battle. No one had heard from her since. "Put her through," President Brooks said. The main screen lit up with the image of the tall, crystal-skinned Zelani officer. She looked tired and worried. "President Brooks," Thelanara said, "I hope you remember me. I was at the battle 6 months ago." "I remember you," President Brooks said carefully. "What do you want?" "To warn you," Thelanara said. "The Galactic Council is planning something. They call it Operation Final Solution. They intend to use it to eliminate the human species once and for all." General Collins stepped forward. "Why? Should we trust you? You are one of them." "Because I have seen what my people really did to yours," Thelanara said. "I have read the real records, the ones they keep hidden. The Terra Wars were not your fault. You were defending yourselves against attacks that we started. My people lied about what happened. We made you into monsters to justify what we did to you." The room was silent for a moment. Dr. Carter spoke first. "What kind of operation are they planning?" "A weapon," Thelanara said. "Something that can destroy entire star systems. They plan to use it on every world where humans live. All of them at the same time." President Brooks felt cold. "How long do we have?" "Maybe a year. The weapon is still being built. But when it is ready—" Thelanara did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. "Why are you helping us?" Elena asked. Thelanara was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was sad. "Because I was there when Admiral Kethver gave the order to destroy your colony. I saw the fear in his eyes when your ship appeared. He was not afraid of your weapons or your technology. He was afraid because you came to save your people, even though you knew you would probably die." She paused. "My people have forgotten what it means to fight for something greater than ourselves." "You have not. Maybe the galaxy needs to remember that lesson." The transmission ended. The room was quiet as everyone thought about what they had heard. "What do we do?" General Collins asked. President Brooks looked around at her advisors. These were good people, smart people. They had survived 73 years of exile and built something new from the ashes of the old. Now they faced their greatest challenge. "Yet, we prepare," she said. "We build more ships. We contact every human colony in the galaxy. We get ready to fight. Fight the entire Galactic Council?" General Collins asked. "That is suicide." "Maybe," President Brooks said. "But what is the alternative? Sit here and wait for them to kill us all? Run and hide until there is nowhere left to run?" She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, human ships were landing and taking off. Families were reuniting after decades apart. Children who had never seen another human colony were playing with kids from across the galaxy. 73 years ago, they scattered us because they were afraid of what we might become, President Brooks said. Now we are going to show them they were right to be afraid. Elena Martinez was already thinking about new weapons, new ships, new technologies that could give humanity an edge in the coming war. General Collins was planning military strategies that could work against impossible odds. Dr. Carter was preparing to tell the galaxy the truth about the Terra Wars. And in space, human ships carried messages to hidden colonies everywhere. The exile was over. The scattered children of Earth were coming home. When the Galactic Council finally launched their final solution, they would discover something terrible. Humanity had not just survived their exile. It had made them stronger. It had made them united. It had made them into exactly the kind of dangerous, determined species that could not be stopped by threats or weapons or fear. The galaxy had tried to destroy humanity once before. This time, humanity was ready to fight back. And this time, they would not be fighting alone. The last scene of the story shows a massive human fleet gathering at the edge of Council space. Hundreds of ships from dozens of colonies, all flying the same flag. The flag of Earth. The world they had lost but never forgotten. At the front of the fleet flew a new ship, the Hughes Valiant II. It was bigger and stronger than the original, built with the best technology humanity could create. On its bridge stood the survivors of the first Valiant's crew, ready to finish what their comrades had started. The message they sent to the Galactic Council was simple. We tried peace. We tried isolation. You chose war. Now face the cons.